So we'll do a little retrospective on the Get Along Gang and the Wuzzles. And we'll talk a little bit about the history of each show, take a look at their toy lines, and just remember how innocent and wholesome these Saturday morning cartoons were. Hey everyone, my name is Perry, and welcome back to the Cassette Phase. So I hope that you all had a good weekend. For today's video, I felt like talking a little bit about a couple of cartoons. And we've talked quite a bit on this channel about some of the more action-packed cartoons and toy lines from our childhood. Things like He-Man and Thundercats and G.I. Joe and Ninja Turtles. Well, today, I want to talk a little bit about a couple of cartoons which could be considered little kid shows, I guess. Cartoon series that could be enjoyed by all kids, but were maybe geared a little bit more towards like a preschool audience. So we'll do a little retrospective on the Get Along Gang and the Wuzzles. And we'll talk a little bit about the history of each show, take a look at their toy lines, and just remember how innocent and wholesome these Saturday morning cartoons were. And I want to take you over to the Ottoman and show you some of the toys and merchandise that I have from each of these cartoons. So a little nostalgic show and tell. And of course, we'll do our cassette of the day as always. But yeah, we're really going back to the very early days of childhood for today's video. Sound like fun to you? Come hang out. Okay everyone, welcome back to the Ottoman, and welcome to another great day here in the den. Nothing on the smart TV today. Recently I've been doing a lot of the little CRT here on the desktop. And today we've got some Problem Child going. Fun old movie there. I used to catch that on TV all the time. USA, TBS, TNT, whatever the case may be. I felt like it was always on. But that's a fun one. And because we're talking about little kid cartoons today, some stuff that's like a little bit cutesy. We're gonna do just kind of a regular VHS tape movie for our cassette of the day. I thought about doing a cartoon or something like that, but I figured let's mix it up, right? Let's put some variety into the video. So we've got kind of like a thriller here, I guess, from 1990. Another movie that was on TV a lot back then. And it was one that I always liked because I liked the actress. The main character actress in this was one of my big-time childhood crushes when I was little, Stacy Keanan. And I think this was her film debut with the 1990 movie Lisa. And this is a really beat-up copy of the VHS tape, but I was just happy to find it because it's kind of I'm not going to say rare, but it's not one that you see very often, Lisa. Yeah, and this is about a teenage girl who, thinks she's doing an innocent, harmless little prank by, calling this guy, this adult man, on the phone and pretending to be, an adult and kind of talking seductively and all of that. And of course, it ends up getting her into a bunch of trouble. I won't go into too much detail in case anybody wants to watch it. It is a fun, quick little movie to watch. Perfect little popcorn movie for a Friday night or something if you're looking for something to watch. It is on Tubi, which is where I've watched it most recently. Lisa is only flirting, but flirting with Richard is flirting with death. Yeah, so Richard is a stalker / serial killer. So, very different than the Get Along Gang and the Wuzzles theme of today's video. But like I said, you're getting a mixed bag around here with the variety. As long as it's nostalgic, we're going to talk about it. So, Cheryl Ladd is also in this. Pretty cool movie. And I heard Stacy Keanan talking about it on her podcast with Christine Lakin. They were on Step by Step together, so they've got a fun podcast that they do that I'll listen to every once in a while. And she talked about making this movie, and it was really interesting. So, not much else to say about it. Pretty straightforward stuff, but if you haven't seen it ever, highly recommended that you at least give it one watch. It's worth your time. So I want to start with the Get Along Gang. And this was started in 1983 by a group at American Greetings for a series of greeting cards. And it featured 6 animal characters living in the town of Green Meadow. And they end up forming a club that meets in an abandoned caboose, which was just so cool to a young kid in the 80s.
Get along, gang. Each one so special in his own way. Montgomery's the leader and he's such a good sport. But get along, gang. There's Boomer and Dottie with the spirit. Bingo the prankster doesn't ruin it. Logical Portia will figure it out. And that's the step of the lead machine. Get out with the Get Along Gang. Come on, their adventures don't end. Get out with the Get Along Gang. Get out with the Get Along Gang. Their clubhouse caboose on its way. Get out with the Get Along Gang. Get out.
I mean, a caboose clubhouse? Tell me, you wouldn't want to hang out in there and eat snacks and read comic books. And their adventures were intended to highlight the importance of things like teamwork and friendship. And the success of the greeting card line eventually led to a Saturday morning cartoon series, which aired on CBS for 13 episodes between 1984 and 1985. So I would have been 4 to 5 years old at the time, and it's no wonder that the colorful art and the animation style and the character designs and the catchy theme song all appealed to me. And reruns ran into 1986, so I likely caught some of those as well. Now, the gang consisted of Montgomery Moose, who was the leader, along with Dottie Dog, Woolma Lamb, Zipper Cat, Bingo Beaver, and Portia Porcupine, who I always remembered from the theme song as the one with the big lollipop. But there were some other side characters that came and went too, like Breaker Turtle and Rocco Rabbit. And how can we forget the antagonists, our gentle villains, Ketchum Crocodile and Leland Lizard. Interesting fact, the pilot actually aired on Nickelodeon in 1984 before eventually finding a home for the series on CBS. It was also part of a short-lived animation block called Kiddio TV. Both series that we talk about today are relatively short, with 13 episodes each. However, they both spawned some great merchandise and toys, some of which we'll look at during our show and tell over at the Ottoman here in a few minutes. And for Get Along Gang, there were action figures and stuffed animals made by Tomy, and a series of storybooks by Scholastic, which actually lasted longer than the cartoon. There was also a bi-monthly comic book series on Marvel's Star imprint, which anyone who has watched this channel at all knows that I absolutely love that. Kiddio TV also released several VHS tapes, none of which I have here in the collection, unfortunately, but I do have a few episodes on DVD.
Coming up, the babies are beaming about a day at the fun park, but for some strange reason, they're all too tired to take the trip. Find out why on Muppet Babies next.
So let's move on to the Wuzzles. And Wuzzles has a bit of an interesting history, as it was a joint venture between Disney, who handled the cartoon, and Hasbro, who handled the toys. And this cartoon series also ran from 1984 to 1985, which is probably why these two are forever linked in my memory. And the premise of the Wuzzles was simply colorful hybrids of two different animals. And as the theme song mentions, living with a split personality.
having twice the fun, 'cause every single thing is really two in one. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, and when you add it up, you get a lot of laughs. Ooh, they got originality, living with a split personality. We're the Wuzzles. Ooh, yeah. We're the Wuzzles. Oh, yeah. Two times the fun, wrapped up and rolled into one. Ooh, they got originality, living with a split personality. We're the Wuzzles. Ooh, yeah. We're the Wuzzles. Oh, yeah. Two times the fun, wrapped up and rolled into one.
And for some reason, all of the characters have wings on their backs, even if neither of their two animals that they are mixed between actually had wings. But the characters, while a little bit goofy, were just so colorful and eye-catching, with great animation, which is no surprise coming from Disney. In the land of Wuz, it's not just the animals who were hybrids. A lot of the locations and the objects were also combinations of two different locations and objects, which was pretty clever looking back at it now. And Disney premiered the series on the same day, in the same time slot, but on another network, as another Disney animation property, The Adventures of the Gummy Bears. So, Gummy Bears and Wuzzles are considered Disney's first two animated cartoon series, and actually competed with each other, with Wuzzles on CBS and Gummy Bears on NBC. Now, Gummy Bears clearly lasted longer. As I mentioned, Wuzzles ended after just 13 episodes, despite having good ratings. And this could have been related to the passing of one of the main voice actors. So let's go through a few of these characters. We had my favorite, Bumbleion, along with Ellaroo, Butterbear, Moosel, Hoppopotamus, and Rhinoki. And while I didn't find this series to be quite as entertaining as the Get Along Gang as a real young kid, the theme song, the colors, the animation like I mentioned, and the character designs, they were enough to keep my 5-year-old self planted firmly on the carpet in front of the old TV set every Saturday morning. And this was yet another property that had great toys, including action figures and plushies, along with countless other merchandise items like party favors, bed sheets, lunch boxes, and more. So before we head over to the Ottoman to take a look at some toys and some merchandise, let me just leave you with this. Looking back at shows like the Get Along Gang and the Wuzzles, it's easy to think of them as just simple, colorful cartoons for little kids. And I'm fully aware that I'm a grown man talking about simple, colorful cartoons for little kids, trust me. But they were. And like many of the things we talk about around here, they were also little time capsules of our childhood. You know, reminders of a world where Saturday mornings felt endless. Sugary cereal was practically its own food group. And the biggest decision we had to make was whether we needed the blue crayon or the green one. And these shows gave us characters who believed in friendship and kindness and solving problems together. And as adults, when we revisit them, they remind us of that magic we all had before the world told us to grow up and act serious all the time. Honestly, I think we could all use a little more Get Along Gang in some of our adult lives. So maybe they weren't epic action shows, and maybe they weren't nearly as cool as something like Transformers or G.I. Joe, but they mattered because they were our cartoons. They were safe, kind of funny at times, and certainly imaginative. And they let us believe that the world was a pretty friendly place, and I think that's worth holding on to. All right, everyone, welcome back to the Ottoman again, where we're going to do a quick little show and tell of just a few of the pieces of merchandise that I have in the collection from either the Wuzzles or the Get Along Gang. And I hope that you all enjoyed the little retrospective that we did on both of those great old, innocent, wholesome cartoons from the very, very early years of childhood. Let's start with a few toys. From the Wuzzles, I've got just a few of the little PVC action figures here. See, we've got Rhinoki. We've got my favorite, Bumble Lion. Kind of scuffed up, but, you know, still pretty cool. Here we've got Ellaroo, elephant combined with a kangaroo, but for some reason with wings, like I mentioned. Same thing with the rhino mixed with the monkey. Like, why does he have wings? Interesting. And then we've got Butter Bear, who was actually one of my favorites in the cartoon. Because some of these other characters were a little bit over the top, you know, a little bit, you know, they could be a little bit much, even as a real little kid. Like, I didn't like that Rhinoki was always making fat jokes about Hoppopotamus, which I don't have that figure, but never about Ellaroo. I never really quite understood that, even as a 5-year-old. But cool toys, bright colors. I would like to eventually track down Moosel one day. I think that one's really cool looking, so I'll keep my eye out. But yeah, let's keep going. Now from Get Along Gang, I also have a little PVC figure of Montgomery Moose here, the leader of the gang. I love these little PVC figures. If you've been with the channel a while, I actually did an entire video just on little PVC toys. I just think they're so fun and collectible. I have one for Woolma Lamb too somewhere. I didn't see it when I was quickly looking through to try to dig it out, but at least found Montgomery there. We also have a couple of these things here. These are more like, almost like dolls, but they're plastic. They're plastic, but with, you know, soft goods clothing on them. They're actually really cool. So we've got Dottie Dog here. Really good shape for how old these are. And then we've got, is it Zipper? Pretty sure this is Zipper the cat. One of my favorites, because I'm a big fan of the color orange, and he's got an orange hoodie on and some orange sweatpants. Just really cool. And I think he was a pretty fun character on the show too. Yeah, so I don't have a whole lot of toys from that particular show, but I've got a couple I wanted to show you there. Let's keep going. Now, we all know how nostalgic vintage lunchboxes are. And unfortunately, I don't have a lunchbox for either of these cartoons. But almost as nostalgic as the lunchbox is the thermos. I think we all had a thermos like this at one point as kids, and I've got one here from the Wuzzles. Now, it's pretty faded, which is to be expected, but you can still kind of pick up on how great the colors were, at least at one point, and how great the art was on this fun old show. There's Moosel. Yeah, not sure how I even wound up with this. Probably at a toy show or something, but yeah, anything that I can find that is Wuzzles related merchandise, it's eye-catching to me, you know? And let's keep going, actually, with the next item, which is also from the Wuzzles. And this one is not faded. This one is still bright and vibrant. We've got this TV tray. Now, I've shared this on the channel before, but I figured I had to bust it back out for today's video. Even if it's not this one, didn't we all have a TV tray like this at one point, you know, with the fold-out legs? When you're a real little kid, you could actually sit on the floor with your legs sticking out, and this would be over your lap, you know, with your bowl of cereal or your TV dinner or whatever it is, your bowl of popcorn. Yeah, just great stuff. It's got some rust and some wear, but overall, really great looking TV tray. And this has been out in the garage for the last couple of years. And I may be considering bringing it back in at some point. We'll have to see. That'll be a discussion for another video, but because it's just so cool. But I have enjoyed seeing that up on the wall right alongside my Alf TV tray and my Ninja Turtles TV tray every time I pull into the garage. Now, like I mentioned, I don't really have any media, unfortunately. I've got some old storybooks I should have pulled out. I didn't remember to get those out. I apologize. But I do have a DVD set of the Get Along Gang. What's interesting about this to me is they released, who is this, Cookie Jar? They released a best 10 episodes of the Get Along Gang when, as I mentioned, the entirety of the whole series was 13 episodes long. I'm like, really? You couldn't just get us those last few and just call it the complete set? Probably a rights issue or something, or a licensing. It always is. But these are fun to play in the background. They look great on the old CRT TVs that I have here in the room. And if you don't have the DVD of this one's pretty easy to find on YouTube. Actually, Wuzzles is too, because Wuzzles never got like a proper DVD or streaming release that I'm aware of, and it probably has to do with the Disney and the Hasbro, joint venture that I talked about before. But both series can be pretty much found in their entirety on YouTube, so that's a good thing. Let's keep going. All right, so for these last couple of items, I am going to once again bring out my old disclaimer about how I do not care about cool points or people judging me for having these things in my collection. But I feel like if we're going to talk about Wuzzles and we're going to talk about Get Along Gang, we have to talk about stuffed animals, right? We just have to. So I've got a couple plushies here to show you. First one being Bumble Lion. And this is not my original childhood Bumble Lion, unfortunately. That one got lost many years ago, but I found this guy at a convention, a few years back and just had to pick it up. Instant nostalgia bomb when I saw him. And still in really good shape too. And the camera's probably not going to pick up just how brightly colored this thing is. It's a little bit dim, a little bit overcast today. But yeah, this is like got really, really vibrant orange and pink colors on it, which is really cool. And then I can't forget about the Get Along Gang. So let's bring over another one of my old favorites from childhood, Montgomery Moose. In really good shape also, with his corduroy pants and his roller skates. Now my childhood one, I almost immediately lost the roller skates. I think I got both of these for Christmas. Probably the same year, thinking about it. Or at least within 1 year of each other. Maybe one was birthday, one was Christmas. My birthday is in November, so maybe it was, birthday for one, Christmas for the other. But yeah, just really cool. I don't display them like I used to, but I still have them handy to pull out whenever I need to. There's just very few things that are as nostalgic as the stuffed animals from your youth. Am I right? But that's pretty much all I had to show you today. I'll see how this video does. I had fun talking about this stuff. If you guys enjoy it, maybe we'll do another one. Maybe we'll do like Care Bears and Muppet Babies next time around, or Glow Friends and Rainbow Brite or something. There's all kinds of examples, popples, of some of these little kid like preschool cartoons from our childhood that were actually really good. Fun little stories with good theme songs, great colors, great animation. And that's why I wanted to talk about them today. Thanks for hanging out. And there we are. So I hope that you all enjoyed this little retrospective look back at two of my favorite cartoons from very early childhood. And if you did, consider subscribing if you haven't already. Also, don't forget to like the video, but only if you actually liked this video. But for now, and as always, relax. Enjoy life and be kind. We'll see you in the next one.